everyone. This is Mama Sarah, Emanuela's mom. She doesn't want me to call her the other name that you guys know by now. Yes, so we are back again today with a new topic. Not really new. You guys remember we covered this topic last week. We were not able to finish it, so we promise you we'll come back for part 2. So, hi.
Hi, Mommy. Hi. So, yeah, we're talking about depression again.
Yes.
But in terms of, you had mentioned it last episode.
Yes, so last episode I told you guys that we were going to discuss depression caused by a new relationship.
Yes.
Especially in mixed families and relationship where there are already children.
Mm-hmm.
A partner has his own children, and there's a new life starting.
Yeah.
How is that child dealing with the new situation? And that's where many family members, parents, miss it, because so we're going to discuss that today.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to talk
Alrighty.
about it.
Let's do it. Yeah.
So I hope you guys had a good week. We did.
Yes.
And summer is almost it's good yet, right? It's not over yet,
Okay.
but vacation is almost done. They're going back to school soon.
Yeah.
And me, I'm a bad student. I didn't finish my exams. I don't know. I'm too old for this. So I decided to drop it. I'm a dropout.
No, she's not.
I'm a dropout. So I like to do other things. It's important in life to be happy with what you're doing.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's happy. And all those things can cause depression when you're forced to do what you don't like,
It is so true.
Yeah,
Yes.
I went to school in Africa, and in Africa back then, and maybe it's the same still today, many family members regard certain career as the best,
Yeah.
and others as the worst.
Mhm.
So if you tell my parents, even my dad back then, that you want to go into culinary, he will kill you. Every family member, every parent wants their children to be a doctor,
Yeah.
a dentist, a pharmacist, this big position. And we don't take into account the happiness of that child. Some children are gifted with arts work.
Mhm.
They can draw, they can do things that we cannot do. Some are good at singing, others,
Cooking.
yes, cooking. Yeah, my youngest daughter actually is the best. Oh my goodness.
So good.
I think one time we're going to make you guys taste
So
their
good.
food through the video. We'll taste it for you and we'll let you know. She is just fine,
So
exceptional.
good.
She's so
Oh
good.
my goodness.
And she cooks every culture food.
Mhm.
She can cook Nigerian, she cooks Ivorian, she cooks whatever she lays her hands on, she turns it into
Liquid gold.
yes. But that's not the topic, kind of. We want to come back to
Yes.
what children experience when a new family starts.
Yeah.
And I was saying last week that some parents don't pay attention, and it's unfortunate because we are so busy building our new relationship with our new partner
Yeah.
that we don't realize that we have another human being who is suffering
Yeah.
right next to us. Another human being that did not ask for that relationship, was not ready for the new relationship between their parents and this stranger that is coming into the home. I will advise family members, parents, not to rush things. That you have to make sure your child gets used to the person. Because if the child don't know that person, it's a complete stranger.
Yeah.
And the children feel bad that somebody is coming between them and their mom or their dad. And if you don't know how to deal with it, she was talking about rebellion last week. It's just the way that a child can tell the parents, no, I don't feel good. I don't like this. Let me tell you a story. I have a friend whose child was being molested by her husband. That's another topic. We're not going to go into it, but I just want to give this example for parents to see how denial or refusal of accepting what is happening can destroy a child.
Yeah.
And so the child was home with the dad, so-called dad, at night when the mom was working. And so when his mom comes home in the morning, the child will just run to her and hold her and say, "Mommy, mommy." And she was not seeing it until one day the little boy came and said, "Mommy, Daddy is doing funny things to me." And she didn't believe it. She did not, because she said that man was so nice, so kind, so loving. She didn't believe her own child, thinking that the child was making up stories, sending the child away. That's not the solution, you know? And who are you going to choose between your husband and your child? That's a difficult position. But you still
Always
have to
choose your child.
Exactly. You have to choose the one that is powerless, the one that is so weak, the one that is in danger is the child, not the grown-up who is abusing their force or their position to intimidate a child into doing things that are not right, you know. And the end of the story is that child grew up to be a frustrated man who finally killed himself. So as parents, if you're starting a new relationship, please give yourself time. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Don't rush.
Yeah. Understand that what your child is going through, you know, like have that relationship with your children, I guess, before you bring another relationship inside the home.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that relationship with your child, I mean, you're not going to realize if they're being good or bad, or if there's a change or not. You're just going to take it as you don't even notice it, you know. So it's also paying attention and knowing your children. I think we talked about this in our very first episode. Is like, you don't have to be your 5-year-old's best friend and be their yes man, you know, but you do have to be someone that they can trust and rely on. You have to be that for your 14-year-old, your 13-year-old, your 12-year-old, and your
You have to listen.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to listen.
You do.
You have to pay attention to any slight change in that child.
That's right.
You have to.
Yeah.
Don't get lost in your love and give all your attention to that person, that new partner. And many of us made that mistake because we didn't understand the importance of that child growing up. We did not see the fact that that child needed the mom or the dad, you know? And so when your child is telling you something, you take it as disrespect, rebellion. You know, the child is difficult, and you take them to therapists. You're the number one therapist for your child. You need to identify what is bad, and that brings depression, because that child will go to school, will become lonely or a loner. That's the best word. That would not involve himself with anybody else, staying in their little corner because they're afraid of exposing mom. And then they don't want mother to lose a relationship or father to lose their new partner.
Yeah.
They don't want to be the one that is called the troublemaker.
Yeah. And yeah, it's important. Like when you are in that dynamic where, you know, we all need to find happiness and we all need to find love, and it's important for there to be stability in a home too. So especially for your children growing up. So if you are a parent who's looking to, you know, build a new relationship or a new love, you should, because it's important for you to be happy in order for your children to be happy, you know. But so we're not at all telling you don't do it, or, you know, wait for your child to tell you it's okay to do it first. No, not at all. But we are telling you to take into account, and prepare your child and prepare yourself for what might happen, you know. And if this person that you're with is a good person and they're a great person and they're good to your children, but your child is still having that difficulty because of so many changes happening at once, that's okay too, you know. Just take that time to tend to those children or that child's emotions so that they can know how to work through it in a healthy way. And if you are, sorry mom, if you're a parent that is not equipped to do that, that's okay too. You cannot magically learn how to deal with emotions if your whole life you yourself have been pushing them away. You know, if you yourself don't know how to deal with them. So if you're someone who cannot do that, then in those instances, in those situations, please do reach out to someone. Reach out to your pastor, reach out to a counselor, reach out to a therapist, maybe a family friend, maybe a sister or brother that is better equipped to talk to your child than you are, but be present in those moments as well. So I think it's just really important to kind of take into account, like, and really consider all the changes that are going to happen, not just for you, but for your child, because you're not only are you introducing a new home, you're introducing a new person, maybe many new people depending on how many children they have. You're introducing a new environment, introducing new friends if you decide to move, you know. You're introducing a whole new dynamic because now you have to incorporate that person's parenting style into your own. And so it's a lot all happening at once. And I think that when parents are, you know, marrying, or when parents are moving on and trying to, you know, mend relationships and trying to build stability, it's a lot. It's a lot for, and we're not faulting parents either, because it's a lot for anyone to be able to have to deal with all those things. We're all people at the end of the day, especially when you're a person in charge of many other people. It's a lot. But to be able to say, okay, how do I deal with this? How do I cope with this? How can I take into this account, like, and it's going to happen where it slips because you're dealing with wedding and you're dealing with moving and you're dealing with maybe you're finding a new job, and it's a lot that you yourself have a lot of pressure on your shoulders, and then having to remember, okay, my child is there and what do they need emotionally. So it's not going to be easy and it's not going to happen fast, but we just want parents to remember to do that, you know.
Yeah, I also wanted to mention the manipulation. You know, when you get into a new relationship, it's important to see the signs. So don't let your new partner manipulate you against your children. You know, because you love the person, now the person is going to put you in this trap where, you know, you don't love your children more than you love me. I'm here. We need to build a relationship. We have to be together all the times. But you know what? If you're together with your new partner all the times without the child or the children, you're breaking that home from the beginning. Because these children will feel rejected. That you're living in your little paradise, the two of you, you know, enjoying yourself, going to movies and restaurants, and, you know, doing all these things without the children. Those children will feel rejected, and depression will start from there right away. But then the consequences of that feeling of depression is going to bring trouble in your house. That the kids will become something that they were never. Some parent will tell you, my child used to be so good. You know, like you said, when, you know, you went to high school and you were a freshman, and I saw the change from the sweetest to the ugliest. I'm like, oh my God. I tell my friends, a demon just walked into my house, took over my daughter's body, and now I'm dealing with that demon, because the way this child is talking to me, it's no longer my child. And it's true, but it's not really a demon sometimes. It can be a demon, yes, believe me, I know what I'm talking about. Demons do exist. If you don't believe, that's okay. But I've seen them, I've dealt with some. When we do deliverance, some spirit come out of people, which is true. But I'm saying that it's just a metaphor to show the change is so brutal and so negative that you think that an evil spirit took control. Well, it's not really an evil spirit. It's the child feeling disappointed in the parent. The child feeling abandoned by the parents. That sweet relationship between the two of you, this love that you share, this bond, there's someone who just came in between. And now the person is like a screen or a wall between you and your child. That even to love your child, now you have to go through that person. And the child don't understand. So we have to be, we have to be careful.
Yeah, and make sure to, like, I think we've said this, but make sure your child is ready for that relationship to happen. And it depends on the situation. You know, if you guys are in a good space and you've healed and you're good and you and your child are doing great, and then you're ready, then that's a different story. But if you guys have just gone through a traumatic experience and you're all still healing as a family, understand when it's good to bring someone else into your home and into your dynamic, and when it's not, because it's very important. And even not just little kids, but teenagers too, you know. I had a point of reflection with one of my sisters, and for a little while I had a grudge against her because I just couldn't understand why sometimes it felt like I was a burden or I was annoying, or why I felt like maybe she hated me sometimes, and why sometimes it felt like she was the sweetest person in the world, you know. And it wasn't until recently that we had a conversation, and she said to me, I was only 16 when this change happened. You know, I had just lost one of the most important people in my life, and I hadn't even gotten through healing from that yet. And then I was expected and forced to accept everything that was changing so quickly. And I'm looking back, and back then I'm like, you're so much older than me. So to me, I'm not thinking you're only 16, you know, but older me, when we talked, I look back and I'm like, you were only 16. You were still very young, you know? So it not that everything excuses everything, but it's understandable to understand that even that child is going through or was going through something, you know? So things can be avoided or better dealt with, or better and more healthier environments can be created if proper conversations are had, if proper steps are taken, and if the proper amount of time is allowed to pass, you know, before you introduce a new dynamic into your home, into your child's life, into your own life, just to create that healthy healing environment, because everyone deals differently. And if you're a parent with like 3 children, that's a lot, because that's 3 different personalities, that's 3 different temperaments. So you might have 2 children who are so happy and totally fine with the whole thing, and then you have that one child who's completely not,
who is a pain in the neck,
or you have one child who's completely fine,
or who is so up, who can say whatever they think.
and then you have 2 children who are completely not okay.
That's
so
right.
It can change, but you don't. And I think this is one thing that's very important, is when it comes to parenting and it comes to your children, don't compare your children.
Do you have children yet?
Yes.
Oh, well, you do the same thing when you have your own kids.
I'm like,
it's a natural reaction for every parent to see, why are you different? Why aren't you doing what your brother is doing?
I'm like, don't compare your children. That's like, especially if one's going through depression and the other one is soaring high and you're comparing them, it's like just pushing that child that's going through depression even more down deep into the hole of depression, because now they feel even more inadequate, you know, and they feel more less than, because they're being compared to someone who's supposed to be the exemplary idea of what it's like, and that is important. So,
and you need to pay attention to the children too, because the one that you think is so good knows what is going on.
Yes.
And we use it against the other siblings. So, you know, parents have a big job to do. A big job. We have to have the discernment. Well, we don't call it discernment in the world, but in the Bible we call it discernment. Like, you need to understand what some children are doing. You know, some kids will make their brother or sister feel bad, because they will make them believe that they want their favorite. I'm mommy's favorite. I'm daddy's favorite. Don't you hear when mommy always asks why you don't do what I do? And they will abuse their siblings because of that. So the parents, even though you love that child because of the way they're doing things, you always have to encourage the other ones. And don't show them that this one is the favorite. So this is what I do. I tell them, I have 2 grandchildren, very beautiful grandchildren. When I go to the youngest one and I hug him and I kiss him and I say, I love you so much. do you know you're my favorite? And he said, I love you too, Grandma. I said, yes, you're my favorite. He said, yes, I know, Grandma. But he will turn around and hear me say the same thing to his big brother. I will tell his big brother, oldest brother, I say, do you know that you're Grandma's favorite? And I love you so much. So now, guess what? Nobody's gonna bully nobody because Grandma loves everybody as a favorite.
That's
and
right.
that's what the parents should do. Make sure your child hears what you're saying to the other when it comes to praising the children, so they know they're not better than their brothers or their siblings.
Yes.
That they're all the same. That mommy loves them the same way or daddy loves them the same level. It is important because that child can become depressed, can feel rejected, and all those feelings are what open the door to depression. So we have to be careful.
Yes, and like we said, today's topic is dealing depression with relationships, so I just want to say too, like, I can only speak, I mean, I don't have children, like she said, not yet, but I have been in relationships, so I can speak from that point of view where I say it's very, depending on the type of person you are, it's very important to know yourself and to know what you can handle and what you can't. It's very important to know what you like and what you don't like. It's important to know you as a person. It's important to have standards in place. It's important to have different principles that you're willing to that you're willing to compromise on. Yes. And then others that you're not. And it's important to be healed as an individual as well, because if you're going through a relationship and you're dealing with someone who is depressed and you try to be the person to save them from depression, you're just going to be the person to take on their depression. And as you're pouring all your energy into this person who, is going through this, you're losing it for yourself. So I remember I was my first boyfriend was when I was 16, and we dated all until I was 19, and there was some principles that I didn't let go of. Like, I was like, I'm a virgin till I'm married, like, I'm a Christian, I don't drink, I don't smoke, like, I'm not doing these things. And for those 3 years we didn't do those things. Like, we stuck by the book. He was a good person, but he was depressed, and there were times where it felt like maybe the way to help him or to be closer to him would be to give up some of these principles. And then I had to tell myself no, because then I give up some of myself, which I'm not ready for. And then there's other times where I tried to make up for that, for those things that I wasn't able to give him because I was clean on my principles and, almost being like his therapist and his mom in a sense. And yeah, it eventually did help him and helped push him to, get the help he needed and see therapy and heal. But it also put me in a place where I no longer had energy to be my own supporter, to be my own person, to pep talk myself, because I was doing all of these things for this person. And so and that also helped me get into depression too, where I felt like, oh my God, like, why am I even here? Is this my purpose in life, to help heal everyone? Who heals me? Like, who do I talk to? What is going on? I don't have, and it's easier to spiral into those things. So it's important to make sure you're healed before you take on someone else's burden. It's important to recognize when someone's burden is too much for you and when it's enough for you to be able to deal with. And it's important too to not bring your baggage into that relationship, because then you're adding more pressure into that person's shoulders. And for me personally, I think that's one of the biggest causes of depression, is when someone is experiencing too much pressure from too many things at once at a specific moment in time, where it's like, oh, I'm not equipped for all this pressure, and it just ends up weighing them down and breaking them down, So it's important to kind of like know yourself to be able to maneuver through those relationships, whether it's your high school sweetheart, whether it's your college sweetheart, whether you're already married and you've been married for 20 years, or whether you're just getting married and you're 40, whatever the case may be. It's just really important to make sure you're in a healthy place before you try to go into a relationship with someone else, and even with friendships, not just, you know, romantic relationships, but with friendships, it's important to know which people to keep around you in times of your depression, and it's important to know which people are okay to let go of. But that's hard to maneuver because when we're depressed, we are so keen to push people away. Like,
well, I think the best things to do is to identify the toxic relationship.
right.
If you know that this person is toxic to you, let them go. Because the more you keep them, the more they will destroy you. Some people are not good to keep. We have to tell people the truth. I'm Christian. I cannot sugarcoat words. The truth is the truth. And sometimes people get destroyed because they don't want to listen to the truth. If you have a bad relationship, it's not the end of your life. Don't let yourself be killed in a bad relationship because you think that without this person I am nobody. That's not true. Nobody is irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Okay. Nobody. You know, I almost spoke French, but that's okay. Nobody. So if somebody is not a good match for you, it's better to let them go. It's so sad when you see young girl being manipulated by the boyfriends. For instance, you know, the boyfriend will make you do things. Comes back to what you said. You set some principles, but toward the end, that boy being under pressure, maybe his friend are mocking him, maybe his friend are calling him weak because maybe there was a challenge. Because young boys in high school do that. You have to show that you're a powerful guy. You can break this girl, this and that, and all these things put him in a situation of depression. But I mean, if you have a boyfriend who comes to blackmail you, that's not a healthy relationship. You come into a relationship to be happy and to blossom, for your potential to come out, for your gift to be shown, for you to be like a flower. But if you go into a relationship where you can feel that only one person is shining, just your partner is happy. Your partner wants you to wear whatever they want you to wear. Your partner is the one to tell you what shoes you should wear, tell you that your makeup is too heavy, or that your dress is too short or too long, whatever, you know. That is not a healthy relationship, because there's right away you can see the controlling aspect or behavior of that partner, and you're not going to be free. But you're a free person. You're coming into a relationship, you have something to give, and there's something to take. So people need to understand that we're not going into a relationship just because we want to please the other person. No. You love me, I love you, even as friends. You attract me, I attract you, not for you to destroy me or to compress me, but you have to help me blossom. So it is important. In relationship, there are many factors that cause depression. As we said, this topic is broad. It's a big topic, and in 30 minutes, we're not sure we can finish it. Now, let me tell you something. Whatever we did not touch upon, just write a comment. Go in the box, leave us a little comment, and tell us, can you talk about this? Can you talk about that? If you have any topic, any situation that you want us to discuss, you can throw it in there. We'll read it, and we'll get back to you, and we'll let you know, how we dealt with our situation. Believe me, when I saw that she was so angry, I pulled out. I kept silent because I became the enemy. I became the person who did not pay attention, and I felt guilty about it. So I let her do her own thing. The only thing I did was to pray. At that point, I couldn't talk to her no more. I couldn't bring her back. I couldn't fix her. So all I have to do was to pray. And I'm telling parents, pray. God hears prayers. No matter where you are, whatever you do, just bring that child before God. Bring that husband of yours or wife before the throne of God. Don't judge them, and don't continue being angry. I think
we touched on a lot of different things today.
That's right.
So just remember a few one of the main things that we said, I think, throughout the whole conversation is know yourself first, be grounded in yourself, heal first, and know your standards, know your children, continue to, you know, pay attention to those warning signs that your children might exhibit if there's a big change coming. Before you get into any big serious relationship, make sure it's healthy and perfect for your dynamic as your own separate family when you're introducing those. Be aware of toxic people that are around you, and be aware of the good people that are around you. Find a way to seek for help, whether it's talking to a therapist, whether it's talking to a friend or a family member, whether it's something like praying and reading your Bible, which helps a lot of us. It's funny because in our society now, people do believe in the mystics, and they believe in the other powers, and they believe in that, oh, there's evil, but nobody wants to believe that there's God, because once you do acknowledge that there's God, then you have to acknowledge his principles, and then you have to abide his laws, and then you have to cut out a lot of things and make a lot of sacrifices that you don't, and you're not ready for. So I think it's just important to acknowledge what works for you, but for us, that is God. So we can only tell you it's important to cling to your faith and to pray. And just remember that depression is real. You know, remember that you have to look out for the signs. Not everyone's going to come to you and say, I'm depressed, help me. A lot of people won't say that to you. They'll probably just tell you, I'm fine.
I'm fine, yes.
The people who seem the happiest and seem to have it all together, more often than not, the ones who are actually going through depression, who need you the most, but put on the happy face to, you know, block everyone out. So just look out for the signs. Be there for somebody. Be the outlet in a way that works for them. And please, like my mom said, let us know what we missed on. If there are things that we need to expand on, that we need to be more clear about, just let us know. And yeah.
Thank you. We'll see you again next week. You can hear the music. It's summertime. Everybody is crazy out there.
Everybody's out.
We have to be crazy too. We have to go to the beach and all those things.
That's right.
Enjoy your summer.
Yes.
Don't let the sun go down without you going to the beach. Enjoy yourself. Bye-bye.
Bye.